Hey guys, it's been a while. So, a lot has happened since I last got on here. I've had many adventures. Been to DC, traveled around a couple places, done hundreds of thousands of dollars in business, been to funeral, and a lot of life things have gone on with me. But that's all for a lot of stories at other times. We need to get back in to doing a couple videos, and I want to start doing a couple, or let's say one video a week at least, right? Maybe I'll put a little more time back into it and start actually keeping up some momentum here. I had some time for reflection, and I really thought a lot about the YouTube channel, and I thought about some of the topics, content, etc. And I think that I have a little bit better of a strategy now. So I hope that I can have some good videos for you guys lined up. Now, I want to talk just some basic stuff. A lot's been going on in the world. We're going through, I would say, some ramp up of emotions here in America. That's where I'm from. And things are just getting heated and heated. It's like, how much more intense can this stuff actually get and continue to be this way? And it seems like, I mean, at any second, anything could explode. People will snap and just, who knows what it could end up being. I think I have some pretty good ideas of what those things could be. And maybe you guys would be interested, but I don't know that it's going to be too good for a lot of people. So that being said, though, one of the most important things we can focus on, and one of the best cures to a lot of our problems, is one of the most boring things that people don't want to talk about. And it's who we are as individuals. It is our internal compasses, our morals, our souls. This is the solution to our problems, because look, right now, we're in a very, very key time in history as far as cycles and as far as technology. We're in a moment that some people call a fourth turning event. Maybe you haven't heard about this. Mr. Strauss wrote a book on it, and it went over how you look at demographics in humans, weather patterns, food availability, a bunch of things. And then you plot out over time how there is the progression of like demographics age. You know, one group gets old and dies off. And you look at availability of resources and weather. Like right now we're going through a solar peak. That's something very interesting. We have a lot more energy from the sun coming right now and radiating the whole planet. And it's, very powerful. It's the source of all of our life. Without it, we're done. And, we can't survive. So you would think that it would have other effects that are a lot more subtle. So that being said, we're in a moment where there's going to be massive change. And you may be like, okay, we are noticing this too. I mean, inflation is through the roof. We've got massive political changes, just not here in the United States, but worldwide, and a lot of, just violence and turmoil. I'm sure you saw last couple months, people, how do I put this YouTube friendly? They're no longer with us. And other things where, people are just getting more violent. So that all being said, what can we do? And this, something, before I get more into what we can do, let's point out the other big elephant in the room, and it's AI. So maybe you guys have been watching, maybe you haven't, but AI is already making massive ripples in the economy. There's a lot of jobs that are already being taken over. I've talked to a couple people who are outsourcing to it now, and it's streamlining their work. Law firms are firing paralegals like crazy and replacing them with AI that can do all the paperwork and paralegal work. You have, where else? The robots, they're starting to make them. I posted a stupid video the other day. That one, not as serious. It was just a novelty type video of a robot in Lowe's, and it was taking inventory of everything they had on the shelves so that they didn't have to send a person to go and look at all of the shelves to see what was actually there, stuff's being stolen, etc. So you have a lot of clerical stuff is being taken over by AI right now, and it's going to make massive disruptions. So as this happens, you're going to have a lot of layoffs in the immediate effect, which is going to cause a lot of unemployment and a lot of hardship. And, you know, statistically, they've done studies for every 1% that unemployment goes up, about 10,000 people no longer exist because they get so defeated, they feel like there's no way out except to take it all. And that's a big deal. And that could happen with this whole AI shift in the short term, whereas there can be replacement jobs that end up coming that are new jobs completely. The other one was, call centers. That's a big one that's being taken over by AI right now. Tens of thousands of people getting laid off in those sectors because an AI, you know, voice can easily handle all these calls, and they're getting really good. I've heard some of these. They've tricked me a couple times now. I didn't quite catch on for a couple minutes into the phone call. So what do we do? What is the solution that is fundamental? It is always the solution. It's higher levels of consciousness. And when I say higher levels of consciousness, I mean higher levels of understanding and awareness of our environment around us. Now, how do we do this? How do we have higher levels of consciousness? Well, one is you need to increase your knowledge and wisdom of how the world works and how the universe operates, the nature of the universe. I mean, you've got, what's a good book I read not too long? I read, the Kabbalion not too long ago. That was interesting, talking about secret laws of the universe. It was very abstract, but decent information. And then you have, I mean, there's a lot of writers, Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. If you want to understand more how the universe world operates, look at the economy, etc. But the point is, when you increase your understanding and your awareness, it can give a sense of peace and reassurance, because as the world becomes more clear to you, it doesn't look like chaos. It looks like more of an orchestra or more of a system that you can understand what's going on and prepare and react accordingly. This is one version of raising your consciousness, right? This is like a very pragmatic, basic way. Now, other than that, understanding your place in society, understanding what we're here for, understanding what is the proper things to do in alignment with reality. These are the real keys to understanding consciousness. When you can understand why it is people are the way they are, and why it is, or what it is people do because of why they are, etc., you can begin to make sense of a lot of things, and you can begin to project it out. You can project it out so that you can end up knowing what you need to do, and also how you need to treat others and how to interact with everyone around you. Because you have to think about this. A lot of what is spiritual is about your mind and other people's minds. We are social down to our souls. Without others, there really is very little point to anything. I mean, why else would, let's say, if there was a one source creator, why would he make anything without the intent of having others in it, right? It's the interactions. If you lived on a desert island all by yourself your entire life, there wouldn't be much reason for you to develop, your spirit or your consciousness, your mind even. And you wouldn't have to, and I mean, life would actually be much simpler. It would be about survival, eating, storing food, staying warm, staying dry. But it's when we interact with other humans that we really have to then contend with our own souls, because we're looking into a mirror. And when we're looking into this mirror, we begin to understand ourselves better through others. And that's important. And that's what most all of the sins are related to in all religions. Most every sin you commit is usually relation to how you act with another person. Lying, stealing, killing, adultery, whatever it is, it's related to another, which is a part of you, a part of creation, a part of God, right? So when you are looking at the world and you're looking at what needs to be done to make things better, it's a deeper understanding of other people, yourself, the nature of everything that allows you to be able to live a more prosperous life, a more eternal life, one that goes on longer and allows the species to go on longer. We cannot continue to exist without higher levels of consciousness. Who's seen the movie Space Odyssey? You know, when they have those scenes with the giant black monolith, that's like a check mark or a mile marker for progression of, the species that's humans. That's a great scene because it shows that as they interact with this mile marker or they reach a certain place, they achieve a higher level of consciousness that unlocks new things, right? Think of this example. I've been thinking about this lately. As a human, or as humans, you cannot have this level of a civilization that we have right now without higher morals, higher thinking, just more sophistication. Someone from the Neolithic or like the Paleolithic era, someone who's a caveman, wouldn't have the ability to have the foresight to run an electric grid system. You have to think a lot of steps ahead. You have to think about a lot of other people. You have to think about the division of labor. You have to think about, why you have to show up to work and make the electric grid run in order for society to continue to flourish, your place in it, right? And also, if you took a very tribal person and gave them super weapons, weapons of mass destruction, they would use them to just destroy the neighboring tribe and in the process kill off the whole planet. I mean, it's through these levels of higher consciousness that we are able to continue to function and interact and progress together and be able to move on to higher things. This is the biggest, most important thing right now in the world. People may want to brush over this, but as we approach this AI thing and our technology advances and we have more and more power, it doesn't matter if we don't evolve spiritually, right? Not in the physical sense. We'll destroy ourselves. It'll be our fault. We will have failed the test. So I think that it is my responsibility to do some videos on explaining fundamentally in a very understandable way, maybe in ways that people have never thought about these spiritual ideas or religious ideas, in very practical ways, so that they can make it real and understand how it fits into our more modern civilization. I mean, for the longest time, a lot of the reason that people followed a lot of religious spiritual teachings is because the priest said it, the king said it. And if they didn't follow the social rules or the religion, they were ostracized, excommunicated, kicked out. They would end up no longer surviving due to the elements and nature that would, destroy them. So, but now we have super safety, we have total comfort, and there's not really a social enforcement to be more moral. Now it has to become more individualized, and it has to be understood in a bigger picture. The levels of consciousness, generally, we need to take the general population to higher levels in order to be worthy of these new progresses we're making as a civilization. If you even want to call it that, some people say it's not progress. It's, that's a debate for another time. But I am very excited to be back here and to make another video and to show people things that I think are important. And we'll touch on a lot of topics that are very practical, very related to you, to me, the moment we're in. That's what we have to. All we have is this moment. We don't have, you can prepare for the future, but you don't want to try to live in it. You need to address what's here now. And that's where your struggles will be, where your soul will be purified, and you will progress. So let's focus on the now, not the future. Don't dwell on the past, and what we can do in this moment and address the things that are here, and how to sharpen our consciousnesses and others. And there'll be a moment where there's a runaway flywheel effect. If enough of us become higher level consciousness, that will spread out. It'll be like contagious. But until then, that's it for today. Good to see you guys again. Have a good one.